Hi, I'm Chadlack. I'm your host for the Cage Rage podcast. Welcome back.
I'm Miguel Andrade for the Cage Rage podcast, and be it MMA or boxing, this is where you want to be.
So, hey, this is Chadlack with the Cage Rage podcast. We're here talking today about Floyd Mayweather and Risen. Miguel, what about Floyd Mayweather and Risen? What happened? Yippee!
I can't believe that we even took it seriously. I mean, it didn't even last 24 hours, and we were just kind of on it to talk about it. I thought there was a lot going on with the Risen thing and Saki Kabara and that we could talk about, so we went ahead and did it. And it just fell apart so fast that I'm embarrassed. It's like we should have known that this was just, buffoonery. It's just sheer buffoonery. An egotist looking to have his ego stroked. Probably are the Japanese promoters capable of, let's just say $88 million or whatever amount of money that they were going to pay him. I think that gives them the idea that they were, that they had a little bit of carte blanche, that they could get away with some stuff and then talk them into it and everything works itself out. It is a huge payday, right? But Mayweather doesn't really work that way, so he put them through something. There's a lot of Japanese people that lost face over this, right? Mayweather, I don't think he lost that much face, but at the end of the day, he comes out apologizing and stuff like that. I just think it looks bad. I wish we hadn't even dealt with it or talked about it, So, to be more honest with you, I'd rather talk about, Squire Hill and fighters of that level, and the guy I'm talking about, than Mayweather, because it's just more fun. You know what I mean?
Wow. Now there's something I never thought in a billion years that I would hear that. Squire Hill, Squidward, the fastest knockout in Wisconsin history, and Floyd Money Mayweather, the $100 million man, mentioned on a podcast in the same sentence. That's unbelievable. You heard it. Hey, you heard it here first. The Cage Rage podcast did it first, and we did it best. And so, Money Mayweather, right there to you, buddy. That's what we think of you. You're a joke. You're a laughing stock. And you should be ashamed of yourself for treating your fans this way. You should be ashamed for taking advantage of the Japanese public the way that you have. And you are an absolute disgrace to boxing. You're an absolute disgrace to sports in general. And I find you to be an absolute selfish, self-righteous pig. Anybody who wears a pair of tennis shoes, a $300 or $400 pair of tennis shoes, one time and then throws them away, doesn't give them to somebody else in need, throws them away because, ew, I wore those once already. I find that absolutely reprehensible. There are children, there are families who could eat for a month on one pair of tennis shoes that you throw away in a day. And I know you'll never see this, but I hope that you do, because you're a fucking pig. And I just hope you know that, you piece of shit. So, I'm sorry, did I go off on my tangent? Sorry about that. So you want to talk about Squire Hill? Well, you're going to have to start by telling the world who Squire Hill is, Miguel.
All right, we can do that. But, I mean, just to wrap up the Mayweather thing is like I said, I mean, my overwhelming feeling is that I'm sorry I even bit into it. I'm sorry that we dragged the podcast down that path.
We tried not to be fair.
It wasn't a podcast on boxing or anything. It was just feeding into the ego, and I just missed it. So I'm sorry. I didn't want to do that.
Let's be fair. You said you
I'm
didn't want to do it.
to dedicate this podcast to Squire Hill instead of Mayweather. Let's do it.
Well, you said, let's be fair. Just to clear your name from this, because it's my fault. You said you didn't want to do it, and I said we got to talk about it. It's Mayweather. It's risen. It's a possible cross in some weird way between MMA and boxing, and that's what we are. We're the hybrid cage rages boxing and MMA, so we have to talk about it. We can't not. And I bit into it wholesale altogether, and I talked you into it, and you said let's just not do it. Let's ignore it. And so it's on me, folks. It's not on Miguel. My credibility. I don't have any credibility, so what the fuck does it matter? But don't put it on Miguel's credibility, because it does matter. So
we talk about MMA. We just had Cormier fight Lewis. I don't know that got covered on ESPN. You know what I mean?
True.
I don't know. I don't know that CNN on the front page had that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Mayweather still commands attention, so we got to dedicate some time to it. I understand your position. I just, I don't want to say I saw it coming because I didn't see this coming, not this fast. But and we didn't mention in the podcast. You got to wonder. At the end of the day, boxing in Japan and MMA in Japan are very different beasts. They operate against each other. There are stories about boxing people involved with MMA, guys as cornermen and having to wear disguises so that boxing, their boxing friends and things don't see them or don't recognize them and stuff like that. I mean, they're very insulated over there. So that would have led to problems in the long run, but we didn't get into any of that. So I'm not too worried about it. So on to Squire Hill. Squire Hill, what is he, 0-1 in his MMA career?
Hell no. How dare you? You bastard. Don't make me call him. If I get Squire Hill on the phone, Squidward would be pissed. And I think he still owes you one, Miguel.
What does that mean, a fight?
Well, no, I think you still owe him a fight, because technically he had a 3-fight deal with you based on that, and I don't think you ever fulfilled his contract.
Yeah, no, I
think he might have gotten some kind of suspension from that one.
Well, I'm gonna tell the story because we brought him up here, and he is
okay.
He's a good kid. You know, I don't want to. I'm not poking fun of him, but I was deliberately trying to pick somebody on the different end of the pay scale of Mayweather first. And
Squire was 2-1. His final MMA record was 2-1, by the way.
Oh, good. So I was there for the 0-1, and that's what we're going to talk about, because it's one of those things that, you got to respect the kid, especially that he got up from that and went back out and won a couple more fights, and that just makes it more interesting. This whole, travel to Japan and pull people's tail, and at the end of the day, everybody walks away with egg on their face and what was accomplished. Nothing other than he got attention. He was on TV again, and it was one of those things. So anyway, Squire comes to Milwaukee for a fight, and it's, I guess, his first MMA fight, and
first one ever.
They put him in. Squire is I don't, I'm not putting him down, but for physique and athleticism, Squire's a pretty average dude, So whatever he's got in training and stuff, and he knows he's got savvy, that maybe is out in the fight or whatever. But he
young kid, 19 years old.
Kid, but he wasn't an athlete like the guy who was fighting. The guy who was fighting was the same weight, but 6 inches taller and longer, and the whole thing, and also,
athletic.
Yeah, and also, with more of a wrestling background and stuff like that. Yeah. So it was not looking good on paper. And Squire walks out in the fight, and this other guy hits him once. Gone, Squire. Squire's down. Squire down.
Can I intervene for just a moment?
Chad's in the corner here, so let's get.
I'm in the corner. And I said, and Squire turns and looks at me, and he said, okay, what do I do? And I said, okay, number one, he's longer than you. This is your first fight. This is his first fight. That wound up not being true. Strasser fucked me on that. Because Strasser said, well, this is his first pro fight. And I said, Squire's not a goddamn pro, Dave. And he goes, well, neither is he. Strasser! We got to have Dave on the show. But anyways, so I said, keep your guard up. You know, I mean, just real basic stuff. Keep your guard up. Do the basic stuff that we train and practice. I want you to put him against the ropes and clinch him. I want you to try to get him towards our corner. You know, work your underhooks, and let's put him on the mat, and then we're going to work your ground and pound, because that's kind of what Squire wanted to do. And Squire said, yeah, but I want to work knees. And I said, Squire, you're not working fucking knees. You're going to get him over here. You're going to get your underhooks. Then you're going to drop down. You're going to change your level. You're going to pick. You're going to try and get your double. You're going to try and get your double. You're going to put him on the ground, and you're going to work your goddamn ground and pound. Yeah, but I want to work knees. I said, just do whatever the fuck you want to do then, Squire. And Squire goes out, and the bell rings, and he touches gloves, and that kid goes, and the fight's over. Take it from there, Miguel.
It's over.
It's over.
Looking grim. It's looking grim. The doctors.
It's not just over. It's.
Yeah. There's no doubt. The doctors who had, up until that point were having a leisurely show. You know.
We didn't even know there were doctors there.
No, Dave runs a decent show. He had
I don't mean that.
Legitimate MDs there, but
yes,
Dave runs a pretty good show with good matchmaking.
He absolutely does. I'm not saying that.
You know, so the doctors have been used to having a good time, really. I think they had to jump into action here, and they did a good job with Squire. They got him up. They got him in the corner. They didn't sit him on the stool. They stood him up, so I remember Squire standing there.
Yeah,
and I remember coming up, and the doctors are looking at him with the lights, and he's looking around, and, you know, he's standing in the corner. At one point, the doctors are talking. He's standing in the corner looking around, and you can tell the kid's, you know, trying to come to, you know. But he's looking around. You can just tell he's off. He got knocked down 30 seconds ago. He's off. The doctor's looking at him. You okay? He said, yeah, you're okay. How old are you? And he goes, 6, 7, 8. What? And he gets mad at the doctor. What? Like what? Like, you know, you doubt I'm 6, 7, or 8, you know? So I was like, oh, yeah, he's touched, you know? So that fight was a one-punch knockout. Again, like I said here, cap off. This is what Squire Hill's actually more worth talking about than Floyd Mayweather Jr. is that he went and tried it twice more. And, I mean, fucking hats off to the kid.
The doctor asked Squire after that, he said, you know, he asked him how old he was, and he said, what, 6, 7, 8, 9, what, you know, what do you mean? And then the doctor said, well, what year were you born? And he said, well, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 18, 19, 20, what 15, 17, 18, what is it? he got all aggressive and angry with the doctors, and he said, let's go, let's get this on. He was ready to fight.
Yeah, he was ready to fight still, but no. So anyway, I like to bring up, you know, little cute stories and stuff like that. It doesn't have a place as the front line of a podcast, but you know what? For this one, it does, because I just don't think Mayweather is front line for my podcast anymore. I don't want to talk about him.
Hey, you know, there's a caveat to that story too.
What's up? I know you had to bring the fucker home.
Yeah, I had to take. We drove up there. Right, and I had this giant Ford Expedition because, you know, I didn't go anywhere without taking 15 goddamn people with me and all the cargo and everything, you know. And so we're driving home the same route that, you know, I mean, I could do it with my eyes closed. I usually slept all the way home behind the wheel. It was a different time. And so I'm driving home at like, you know, I don't know, 110 miles an hour or something, and Squire's laying kind of in the middle seat, and I'd made everyone else like lay back on the bags and the gloves and everything, and like give Squire the whole middle seat behind the driver's seat. And this is a 4-row seat that I've got because it's a huge expedition.
Okay.
And Squire's not feeling well at all. I mean, at all. And whoop, here come the bubblegum lights, and the cop pulls us over. And as the cop's walking up, Squire says, what's going on? And I said, nothing. I said, we got pulled over. And he goes, oh, shit, are we going to jail? And I said, no. I said, play dead. And he goes, huh? And I said, act like you're fucking dying. And he goes, okay. So one of the guys gives him an ice pack and throws it on top of his face, which had to be god-awful terrible because he already felt like hell. The cop comes up. He's a state trooper. Shines the lights. We're on the interstate, going around the Dan Ryan and stuff, or around the, and he shines a light in there, and there's just bloody rags everywhere and stuff. And everybody's faces are all beat up except mine, I didn't get hit anymore. He's shining in there, and he looks at me and he says, do I even want to know? And I said, look, this guy got knocked the fuck out tonight. And I said, and I got to get him home. And he goes, well, why don't you just take him to a hospital? And I said, man, we're in Chicago. Do you know how much an emergency room visit costs in Chicago? And he goes, no, I don't. And I go, I don't either, but it's got to be expensive. And he said, oh, well, get him the hell out of here. And I said, all right, we're gone. And Squire laid back there going, We got down the road and Squire said, is he gone yet? And I said, no, just keep the ice pack on. He left the he was so out of it, he left the ice pack on for probably 30 minutes before he caught on that we were driving down the road. He wasn't right for a week. You talk about post-concussion syndrome. But no, yeah. Squire came back. Here's the final on old Squire Squiggy Hill. Squire came back. He fought 2 more times. He fought a guy named, well, I won't say the guy's name because he kind of took it badly. This guy was a kickboxer. He was an instructor and stuff. And Squire kicked the shit out of him. And Squire worked really, really hard. Squire wound up knocking out Daryl Bulldog Smith in practice. Pretty lucky shot if ever there was one. And if you ask Squire, he'll tell you, luckiest shot I ever got, and I'll never forget it, and I brag about it every day. But Squire wound up going on to do some good stuff with his life. He's engaged to be married, and believe it or not, that saggy, fat, sloppy body of his is now massive. He is a drug-free power lifter / bodybuilder, and he probably weighs 240 pounds and he's just massive. Works out all the time, and his girlfriend is a professional natural bodybuilder. She's absolutely gorgeous, and Squire's doing wonderful things with his life. So how about that one for a success story? Way to go, Squire.
And he doesn't have to cheat Japanese people in order to get his yayas out.
And fuck you, Floyd Mayweather. Squire Hill would have never cheated the Japanese.
So what else we got, Chad? I think we can do a namaste on this one.
I got one more.
Uh-oh.
I got one more while we're at it.
All right.
If you talk to a guy named Trevor Prangley, I think you know who he is. Yeah. I think a lot of people who know in MMA know who Trevor Prangley is, don't they?
I mean, if you follow the scenes, he's a UFC veteran, and, he was kind of probably older by the time he hit UFC, so he was one of the guys that, at one point, was definitely one of the toughest customers at 185 in the world,
Very, very, very badass individual. Got a gun for his 15th birthday, right? That kind of stuff.
He was 10, right? But something like that.
10, yeah. Grew up in South Africa and all that stuff. If you ask Trevor to this day who his worldwide favorite fighter is, he will tell you a guy I've never seen fight, a guy named the Squelly Bud. And he asked me anytime I talked. I got a guy that used to fight for me, and I've got video after video after video after video. And I say this with all due respect. if you want to talk about a guy who never turned down a fight, who never backed out of a fight, who never asked for the easy fight, because, there's all these tough guys that are like, well, I want to fight, I want to fight the easy guy tonight. I want the night off. There are always these tough guys that are all beefcaked up, and, they're taking steroids, and they're tough guys, and you get that all the time in this business. And what they really want is they want to go out in front of their home crowd, in front of their girlfriend, in front of their parents and all that, and they want to get the big win and the big knockout. And I had a guy, heavyweight, 365 pounds, so super heavyweight, really. I called him the Blonde Bomber. He called himself the Squirrely fucking Bird. He's got a tattoo on his arm right here that says Squirrely effing Bird. And I said, why does it say effing? And he said, for the kids, man. I said, okay, Bird, I understand that. Well, Bird went on to do he went on. Bird's probably had 30 fights, at least. And he's won a good share of them, but he's lost a lot of them too. He's a 50-50 kind of fighter, because he'll fight anybody at any time. He's anywhere, anytime kind of fighter. And you know those kind. So they're not gonna have a real good record. But he's a tough guy. Bird's very first fight, he comes to the show. I'd never met the guy before, and this guy named Steve brings him in that I knew pretty well. He was a manager / fighter, and he says, I got a heavyweight fighter here, and this is the guy I've been telling you about, and and I take one look at this guy, and I said, you want him to fight him? And Bird comes up to me, and he says, who you got for me? Who you got, Cadillac? And I said, that guy right there is the only guy I've got for you to fight, and I'm canceling the fight. And he goes, what? Beefcake? He's dead! So I'm thinking, if you've got that much confidence, I'm thinking, man, this guy must be something extraordinary. And look at Roy Nelson. Who'd have thought, right? Who'd have thought, right? So Bird goes out there, and I'm not going to mention this other guy's name because he's a total piece of shit, and I don't want to give him any kind of props at all. But he takes Bird down, and Bird has absolutely zero ground skills of any kind. But Bird and drops the guy to one knee with about 30 straight punches. And then the guy, when he's coming up off his knee, snatches Bird in a double leg, picks him up over his head, slams him on the ground. I thought the whole fucking ring was going to come apart. And he knees Bird in the gut. And when he does, Bird shits his pants. And I don't mean a little bit. He shit his pants. Whoosh. We had to bring in a mop. So
the show went on. How do you follow that fight?
We had to take a brief intermission before the show went on and get extra, because you clean after every single thing. You decontaminate the entire cage, or at least we always did. But yeah, we decontaminated extra stuff, including part of the judge's table. And Bird gets we're going to have to dedicate an entire podcast to the Squirrely fucking Bird with videos and the whole works. He would call me.
I think you should show some of the video of the fights, because I think that presents a context, because there might be some confusion over athletics and things like that. I don't want there to be any confusion here. I want people to know what they're talking about.
It's anyways, with that.
Yeah, no, and again, we went from Floyd Mayweather Jr. to Squire Hill to the Squirrely Bird, and I think, it was a natural progression, Floyd. Thanks for nothing.
Yeah, thanks for nothing, Floyd Mayweather. And I'm being flat out honest here. I have more respect for Squirrely Bird and Squire Hill in my pinky finger than I could ever have for Floyd Mayweather. That guy is an absolute atrocity to boxing and sports and everything in between. He's an absolute scumbag in every sense of the word, to his people, to the sport, to a generation of boxing fans. What a scumbag. What an absolute atrocity he is. Anything else, Miguel?
Namaste.
Namaste.